Florida has more hurricane landfalls than any other state in the US, and in today's video, we're going to be going over the most expensive hurricanes, the most powerful hurricanes, and the most deadly hurricanes to hit the state. Starting with the most expensive. The most costliest hurricane to hit Florida is Hurricane Ian, which hit in September 2022 as a Category 4 hurricane. This hurricane had winds of around 150 miles an hour, and it slammed into southwest Florida, bringing catastrophic storm surge, flooding, and destruction to cities like Fort Myers, Cape Coral, and Naples. The damage was pretty significant. Entire neighborhoods were wiped out, infrastructure was crippled, and millions were left without power. When the numbers were totaled, Ian caused over $112 billion in damages, making it not only Florida's costliest hurricane, but also one of the most costliest storms in US history. Beyond just the financial toll, the storm claimed more than 150 lives in Florida alone, highlighting just how devastating Ian truly was. The rebuilding process has taken years and is still ongoing, with many families and communities struggling to fully recover. But there's another storm, and this storm goes by the name Katrina. So this storm didn't really impact Florida too badly, but it's notable because it did go through Florida. It actually hit Florida as a Category 1 with around 80-mile-an-hour winds, and it went into the Gulf and reached Category 5 status, before weakening down to a Category 3, where it made landfall in Louisiana and caused around $200 billion in damage in today's money if you include inflation. And it is the most costliest hurricane to make landfall in the United States. The next hurricane we're going to go over is Hurricane Andrew. Hurricane Andrew hit Miami-Dade, Florida as a Category 5 hurricane on August 24, 1992. Now, at the time that this storm hit, it was the costliest natural disaster in US history, killing 65 and leaving over 230,000 people homeless. However, since other storms have beat this record for the costliest hurricane and costliest natural disaster in US history. Next, we're going to discuss the strongest hurricane in sustained wind speed to make landfall in Florida, the 1935 Labor Day hurricane, which is the strongest hurricane to hit Florida in sustained wind speeds. The 1935 Labor Day hurricane was not only the strongest hurricane to hit Florida, it's the strongest hurricane to hit the US on record, with sustained winds of 185 miles an hour. This hurricane had a central pressure of 892 millibars. That's insane. Now, the Labor Day hurricane made landfall as a Category 5 hurricane in the Florida Keys, where it went on and killed 408 people. Most of these were World War I veterans working on a construction site in the area. That storm went on and caused around $130 million in damages, adjusted for today's inflation. While we're on the topic of hurricanes with the fastest wind speed and the lowest millibar pressure, it's only fair to talk about Hurricane Wilma. Hurricane Wilma made landfall in South Florida in 2005 only as a Category 3 hurricane. However, it holds the record for the lowest barometric pressure in the Atlantic Basin at 882 millibars. Though its wind speeds weren't quite as strong as the Labor Day hurricane, it was still pretty notable and it still holds that record. So here's a little fun fact actually about me and Hurricane Wilma. So when Hurricane Wilma hit Florida, my parents were in the eye of the storm and they got to see the stadium effect from the eye of the hurricane, and they said it was amazing. They said it was one of the best, coolest things they've ever seen in their life, and my mom was pregnant with me at the time. So technically, I was in Hurricane Wilma. Technically, I guess, right? Anyway, so far we've gone over the costliest hurricanes and the strongest hurricanes to hit Florida, but what about the deadliest? Well, the 1928 Okeechobee hurricane holds the record for the deadliest hurricane to make landfall in Florida. So in September of 1928, the Okeechobee hurricane made landfall as a powerful Category 4 hurricane with winds over 140 miles an hour in that range, and it went through the areas of Palm Beach County, where it went up to Lake Okeechobee. So Lake Okeechobee is a massive lake in the middle of Florida that you can actually see from space. And so all the rain that came from the hurricane allowed this lake to overflow, and the storm with all the winds was pushing massive waves over the poorly built levees. With warning systems not being the best at the time, entire farming communities south of the lake were totally devastated by the floodwaters. Homes were washed away, crops were destroyed, and families had no chance of escaping. This hurricane claimed over 2,500 lives, most of them being in the communities around Lake Okeechobee. To this day, it is still the second deadliest hurricane on record, only after the 1900 Galveston hurricane. The Okeechobee hurricane can be used as a reminder today that the most dangerous part of the storm isn't always the wind. A lot of the times it's actually the rain and flooding that comes with it. So it's important to always remember to prepare and know what's coming so you know exactly what to expect when these hurricanes make landfall. So there's actually a storm I forgot to mention, and that storm is the 1926 Great Miami Hurricane. So even though this hurricane occurred in 1926, it was the costliest hurricane of its time. And it's actually very widely believed that if this hurricane had occurred in modern day, that this hurricane would take Katrina's spot as the most expensive hurricane and natural disaster to ever hit the United States. So can we expect another storm like that costs billions and billions and billions of dollars in damages? Well, actually, yes. Just recently, we had the Hurricane Harvey in Texas that cost billions. It's only the second costliest in the world behind Katrina. So you really never know what storm is going to cause the most damage. So it's always smart to be prepared and know what's coming and prepare for that and listen to evacuation orders if they are given to your area. So what really is the worst hurricane to hit Florida? Well, in my opinion, it would be the Lake Okeechobee hurricane, just because of the fact of how many people it killed. So if you go by that, then the Okeechobee hurricane's the worst. But if you go by the wind speeds, well, then the Labor Day hurricane's the worst. But if you go by the total cost and damages, then Hurricane Ian in 2022 is the worst. So it really just depends how you look at it, and you never know which storm is next. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe if you found it entertaining and informative, and please leave comments below of more videos that you might want to see. So again, thank you for watching and have a good one.